Hey everyone, ready to dive deep into the world of The Monkey, 2025? Released on February 25, 2025. This film has sparked endless discussions, and today, we're uncovering every thrilling detail. If you enjoy this deep dive, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps us grow. And for more incredible movie explorations and hidden gems, subscribe to the channel. Now, let's unravel the magic behind this cinematic masterpiece. The Monkey is a 2025 American comedy horror film written and directed by Osgood Perkins. Based on Stephen King's 1980 short story, the film stars Theo James, Tatiana Maslany, Christian Convery, Colin O'Brien, Rohan Campbell, Sarah Levy, Adam Scott, and Elijah Wood. It follows twin brothers whose lives are turned upside down by a cursed toy monkey that causes random horrific deaths around them. The Monkey was theatrically released in the United States by Neon on February 21, 2025. The film received generally positive reviews from critics and has grossed $20 million worldwide against a budget of $10 to $11 million. Plot: in 1999, Petey Shelburne attempts to return and destroy a drum-playing toy monkey at an antiques shop. Before he can do so, the monkey plays its drums, and a chain reaction causes the shop owner to be disemboweled with a harpoon gun. Shortly afterwards, Petey disappears, leaving his wife Lois to raise their identical twin sons Hal and Bill. The brothers eventually discover the monkey in a closet containing their father's belongings and wind its key. Later that evening, the monkey plays its drums while they are at dinner, triggering the accidental decapitation of their babysitter Annie. Bill's bullying of Hal prompts the latter to wind the monkey's key again, hoping it will kill his brother. Instead, Lois suffers a sudden aneurysm and dies in front of Bill. Overcome with guilt, Hal dismantles and disposes the monkey before he and Bill move to Maine to live with their Aunt Ida and Uncle Chip. When the monkey mysteriously reappears at their new home, Bill realizes its power and winds its key despite Hal's protests. Chip is trampled to death by a stampede shortly after. The brothers decide to seal the monkey in its box and throw it down a nearby well, hoping it will remain hidden. 25 years later, Hal is estranged from both Bill and his own son Petey, whom Hal sees only once a year out of fear that the monkey will return and kill him. He also learns that his ex-wife and her new husband Ted plan to adopt Petey fully, effectively cutting him out of Hal's life. Meanwhile, Ida is suddenly killed in a freak accident. Bill calls Hal and insists he drive to Ida's house, claiming he is suspicious that the monkey has returned and someone has been winding its key. Hal realizes it is true when a woman explodes after the motel pool is electrified. Real estate agent Barbara reveals to Hal that, following Ida's death, a series of bizarre fatal accidents have occurred in the town over the past week before a falling shotgun blows Barbara apart. When Hal and Petey arrive at Ida's house, they learn that Bill is living in the town and now possesses the monkey. He hired a local named Ricky to retrieve it for him due to Bill having long suspected that Lois' death was caused by Hal in an attempt to kill him and has spent years waiting for the monkey's return to use it in retaliation. However, the monkey has only been killing random people instead of Hal over the past week. Bill suspects whoever winds its key is immune to be killed, and tells Hal that he will allow Petey to wind the key to keep him safe. Otherwise, Bill will keep mercilessly winding it until Hal is killed, no matter who else dies in the town as a result. Hal refuses until Ricky, who has grown obsessed with the monkey, forces Petey at gunpoint to retrieve it for him at Bill's house. Bill offers Petey to wind the key and Ricky is subsequently killed by a swarm of wasps. Hal enters the house and Bill, seeing his brother is still unscathed, forces the monkey to drum without winding the key in a desperate attempt to kill Hal. In retaliation, the monkey begins drumming uncontrollably and triggers widespread death and destruction throughout the entire town. Hal's ex-wife and Ted are also killed in the ensuing chaos. When Bill finally gives up, the brothers reconcile over their shared grief for their mother and apologize to each other. Shortly after, the monkey beats its drums one last time and Bill is suddenly decapitated by a bowling ball. Driving through the now devastated town, Hal and Petey accept their fate as the monkey's owners to prevent the key from ever being winded again. A pale black-eyed man riding a pale horse, implied to represent the Pale Horseman, passes by and acknowledges them. Hal, determined to reconnect with his son, suggests they go dancing as it is something Lois had loved, and Petey accepts. Cast. Theo James as Hal and Bill Shelburne. Christian Convery as young Hal and Bill. Tatiana Maslany as Lois Shelburne, Hal's and Bill's mother. Colin O'Brien as Petey Shelburne Jr., Hal's son. Rohan Campbell as Ricky, a local. Sarah Levy as Ida Zimmer, Hal's and Bill's aunt. Adam Scott as Petey Shelburne Sr., Hal's and Bill's absent father. Elijah Wood as Ted Hammerman, the new husband of Hal's ex-wife. Osgood Perkins as Chip Zimmer, Hal's and Bill's uncle. Tess Degenstein as Barbara, a real estate agent. Danica Dreyer as Annie Wilkes, Hal's and Bill's babysitter. Laura Mennel as Hal's ex-wife and Petey's mother. Nico Del Rio as Rookie Priest. Production. Director Frank Darabont originally held the film rights to Stephen King's short story, The Monkey, and planned to begin working on a film adaptation upon completing The Mist, 2007. Itself an adaptation of one of King's novellas. The project never materialized. Going into the 2023 Cannes film market, financier Black Bear Pictures announced that a film adaptation of The Monkey was in development and up for sale to distributors. Osgood Perkins was hired to write and direct, and James Wan would produce under his Atomic Monster banner. Theo James was cast in the lead role. In March 2024, Tatiana Maslany, Elijah Wood, Christian Convery, Colin O'Brien, Rohan Campbell and Sarah Levy were revealed to have joined the cast. Principal photography occurred in Vancouver from February 5 to March 22, 2024. The original story by Stephen King features a cymbal-banging monkey, but the film replaces the cymbals with a drum. According to Perkins, this change was made because the film's producer believed that the Walt Disney Company owned the rights to the cymbal-banging version of the toy on the basis of its appearance in Toy Story 3. In writing the film, Perkins chose to give the film comedic elements because he thought it was more fitting for a film about a toy, and he wanted to distinguish the monkey from more serious horror films about possessed toys. Perkins further stated that the comedy in the film intentionally avoids subtlety and makes use of extreme gore to joke about the absurdity, pointlessness, and randomness of death. Perkins stated fully to Empire on his approach to the material. I took liberties like a motherfucker. The Atomic Monster had a very serious script. Very serious. I felt it was too serious, and I told them, this doesn't work for me. The thing with this toy monkey is that the people around it all die in insane ways. So I thought, well, I'm an expert on that. Both my parents died in insane, headline-making ways. I spent a lot of my life recovering from tragedy, feeling quite bad. It all seemed inherently unfair. You personalized the grief. Why is this happening to me? But I'm older now and you realize this shit happens to everyone. Everyone dies. Sometimes in their sleep, sometimes in truly insane ways like I experienced. But everyone dies. And I thought maybe the best way to approach that insane notion is with a smile. Marketing. The film's official trailer released on January 16, 2025, and amassed over 43 million views online within 24 hours. After 72 hours, it had over 100 million views. According to Neon, this made it the most watched independent horror film trailer ever. In late January, Neon attempted to air a trailer for the film on 4 major television networks, and all 4 rejected the studio, citing the film's excessive violence. Neon released screenshots of the email discussions with the networks, although identifying information was redacted. As part of the film's marketing campaign, Neon opened an online application for churches to seek permission to screen the film alongside theaters. Additionally, Neon partnered with Bloody Disgusting to hold a giveaway for an exclusive resin sculpture of the titular monkey toy. Deadline Hollywood reported that the film's marketing cost was around $10 million. Release. In May 2024, Neon won a bidding war between multiple U.S. distributors for domestic rights at the Marquee du Film and set a theatrical release date for 2025. The film was released in the U.S. on February 21, 2025. The Monkey marks the second collaboration between Neon and Perkins after Longlegs, 2024. Prior to its official February release, the film was screened early in January at Grauman's Egyptian Theatre as part of Beyond Fest. Reception. Box office. In the United States and Canada, The Monkey was released alongside The Unbreakable Boy and was projected to gross around $17 million from 3,200 theaters in its opening weekend. The film made $5.9 million on its first day, including an estimated $1.9 million from early screenings. It debuted to $14 million, finishing second at the box office behind holdover Captain America: Brave New World. 29 men accounted for 58% of the audience during its opening, with those 25 to 35 years old comprising 35% and premium large format screens contributing 12%. Critical response. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, 79% of 197 critics' reviews are positive, with an average rating of 6.8/10. The website's consensus reads, "Cruelly clever with some unforgettably gory set pieces. The Monkey reaffirms director Osgood Perkins' horror bona fides, while revealing he also has a surprising, albeit sick, sense of humor." 30 Metacritic, which uses a weighted average, assigned the film a score of 62 out of 100, based on 40 critics, indicating generally favorable reviews. 31 audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of C+ on an A+ to F scale, while those surveyed by PostTrack gave it an average 2.5 out of 5 stars, with 49% saying they would definitely recommend it. Brian Tallarico of RogerEbert.com gave the film 3 out of 4 stars and wrote, "Perkins has always been a formally confident filmmaker, but The Monkey contains some of his most striking imagery, shot through with malice by Nico Aguilar, and perfectly assembled by editors Graham Fortin and Greg Ing, who also cut long legs." Peter Travers of ABC News said the film loses steam in its final section, but added, "King and Perkins are still a dream team of fright masters when it comes to revealing the psychological dread lurking under the macabre monkey's hinds that keep us up nights." The Atlantic's David Sims wrote, "In the hands of another director, the tone could wobble too wildly. Perkins is a specialist in making childhood trauma feel grounded and relatable, however, and that holds true for the loopy scares of his latest movie." Siddhant Adlika from Inverse gave the film a less positive review, describing it as tonally haphazard and criticizing it for a lack of dramatic coherence. He argued that the film's irony and snark undermine any intended commentary about parenthood or death, comparing it unfavorably to Deadpool. 35. The iPaper's Christina Newland gave the film 2 out of 5 stars, writing, "For a movie that professes to be bizarre, shocking, and violent, and which shares a director with long legs, the scariest horror film of last year, The Monkey is surprisingly lacking in any good ideas. In fact, it's the worst thing a horror film can be: boring." King praised the film, describing it as "bats hit insane." The Monkey arrived in theaters on February 21, 2025, with an eerie, unnerving presence that immediately turned heads. While it might seem like a typical horror flick on the surface, this film goes beyond just jump scares and blood-soaked thrills. Directed by Osgood Perkins, The Monkey is a haunting exploration of fate, obsession, and the consequences of tampering with things we don't understand. From its cleverly crafted screenplay to its stellar performances, this movie takes a familiar premise and elevates it to something both terrifying and deeply human. What makes The Monkey truly extraordinary is its ability to mix the supernatural with the everyday, offering a storyline that feels both grounded and fantastical. It's not just a ghost story or a slasher flick. It's a meditation on human nature, family dynamics, and the destructive forces that often come with meddling in things beyond our control. The movie blends comedy and horror with a dark sense of humor, keeping viewers guessing about whether they should laugh or cringe in the same moment. It's an unorthodox and daring approach, one that feels fresh in an era of formulaic genre films. The film starts innocuously enough with two brothers, Hal and Bill Shelburne, played by Theo James in an unforgettable dual role. They're opposites in every sense, yet their bond as brothers is undeniable. Hal is the responsible one, the one who tries to keep everything together, while Bill is the more reckless, free-spirited sibling who doesn't always think before acting. Their relationship is complicated and, at times, filled with resentment, but it's clear they have a history, a deep connection that underpins the narrative's driving force. When they inherit a strange and mysterious toy monkey from a relative, the real story begins. At first glance, the toy appears harmless, just another quirky vintage item. But it's quickly revealed that this monkey is cursed, carrying with it a dark force that brings doom and destruction to everyone it touches. The plot begins to unfold with escalating tension, as the brothers realize they are not dealing with an ordinary object. The monkey is more than a mere toy. It's a vessel for an ancient, malevolent force. The more the brothers try to rid themselves of it, the more chaos it brings. Their attempts to escape the curse only serve to draw them deeper into a nightmarish spiral. The horror is not confined to blood and gore, though those moments do come in plenty. Instead, the terror is psychological and emotional, wrapping the characters in a web of anxiety and dread. This is where The Monkey excels. It's a psychological horror movie that taps into the deepest fears of its characters and viewers alike. As the brothers' attempts to rid themselves of the cursed toy grow increasingly desperate, the film offers shocking twists that keep the audience on the edge of their seats. Just when it seems like the brothers have found a solution, something even worse happens, and the stakes are raised higher. These twists are not the kind that rely on shock value alone. Instead, they're intricately woven into the story, adding layers of complexity to the already tense atmosphere. At its core, The Monkey is not just a horror story. It's a tale about obsession and the often unpredictable consequences of actions that seem harmless at first. The brothers' desire to rid themselves of the monkey becomes an obsession, leading them down darker paths. The performances are one of the most remarkable aspects of this film. Theo James, known for his roles in Divergent and The White Lotus, is utterly mesmerizing as he portrays both brothers, Hal and Bill. His ability to make each brother distinct while conveying the shared emotional undercurrent between them is a testament to his range as an actor. Hal's quiet determination contrasts sharply with Bill's erratic behavior, and yet, both characters share the same tragic flaw: their inability to escape the shadow of the monkey's curse. As the brothers fall further into the grips of fear and madness, James expertly navigates the emotional turmoil and chaos that envelopes them. Tatiana Maslany, a standout in Orphan Black, brings depth and nuance to her role as a close friend of the brothers who becomes entwined in their terrifying predicament. Her transformation from a skeptic to someone who is forced to confront the evil of the monkey is both believable and chilling. It's a journey that mirrors the audience's experience, slowly becoming aware of the horror until it's too late to escape. The supporting cast, including Adam Scott, Elijah Wood, and Colin O'Brien, add layers to the film, enhancing the psychological complexity of the story. Each character serves as a piece of the puzzle, their fates entwined with the brothers in a way that pushes the narrative forward while keeping the tension building at all times. The characters' varying responses to the supernatural elements add a human dimension to the film, allowing viewers to connect with their struggles. Visually, The Monkey is stunning, and it uses cinematography in ways that heighten the unease. The film takes an old-school approach to horror, using shadows and eerie close-ups of the toy to create a sense of claustrophobia and dread. The monkey, though small and seemingly innocuous, is always looming in the background, its lifeless eyes watching as the brothers try to outwit their fate. The filmmakers take full advantage of the object's creepy nature, turning something as simple as a toy into a terrifying force of nature. There's a slow-burn quality to the film's visuals. Each frame seems carefully crafted to evoke discomfort, making every shot feel like it could be the one where everything goes horribly wrong. As the film progresses, the visuals become increasingly unsettling. What begins as a subtle horror story grows into something much more visceral, with dark, grotesque imagery that will stick with you long after the credits roll. The monkey, in all its grotesque, lifelike detail, becomes more than just a symbol of evil. It becomes the embodiment of the terror that grips the brothers and everyone around them. The film's pacing is deliberate, allowing the dread to build up gradually, pulling the audience deeper into its nightmarish world. This slow escalation of tension is masterfully done, making the eventual release of horror all the more shocking. The Monkey became a cultural phenomenon not just because of its story, but because it resonated with so many viewers. The themes of obsession, the destructive nature of unchecked desires, and the complex relationships between the characters made it more than just a film. It became a conversation starter. People began to discuss the moral implications of the characters' actions, the metaphorical meanings behind the cursed object, and how the film reflected their own fears and insecurities. The film's exploration of fate and free will left audiences questioning whether the brothers could have ever escaped the curse or if it was always inevitable. The movie's mix of horror, dark humor, and psychological depth gave it an unusual staying power, and it became a subject of fan theories, online debates, and countless online discussions about its deeper meanings. The film's impact can be felt in its influence on social media, with hashtags and memes about the monkey taking over platforms in the days following its release. Whether it was discussions about the film's shocking final act, fan theories about the origin of the monkey's curse, or simply the eerie imagery of the toy itself, the monkey quickly became a cultural touchstone. It wasn't just a movie, it was a viral sensation. Audiences flocked to theaters, eager to experience the film and discuss its meaning with others. Horror aficionados, in particular, found much to love in the film's refusal to adhere to conventional genre tropes. It subverted expectations, challenging its audience with its clever writing and unpredictable twists. But even beyond the viral chatter, The Monkey deserves attention for its craftsmanship. It's a film that invites you to dig deeper, to think more critically about what it says. Yes, it has all the trappings of a great horror film: suspense, scares, and gore, but it also has something more. It's a meditation on the human psyche, on family, and on the consequences of our actions. It taps into a primal fear of the unknown, a fear of things that lurk in the shadows, and does so in a way that feels original and fresh. It's this unique blend of psychological depth and visceral horror that has made The Monkey a standout in 2025's horror lineup. It's a film that asks its viewers to not only confront their fear of the unknown, but to also reflect on the choices that lead to destruction. And for those brave enough to look deeper, it offers a chilling and unforgettable experience. If you haven't already seen The Monkey, now is the time to dive in and experience it for yourself. Whether you're a horror fan looking for something different or just someone looking to watch a story that challenges you to think while keeping you on the edge of your seat, The Monkey offers an unforgettable journey into the depths of terror. It's a movie that will leave you questioning the very nature of evil, fate, and the price of obsession. With its gripping plot, stellar performances, and haunting visuals, The Monkey has solidified its place as one of the most talked about films of 2025, and it's not one you'll soon forget. The opening scene of The Monkey sets the tone with an eerie quietness that immediately wraps the audience in tension. A dimly lit room, the faint sound of creaking floorboards, and a dust-covered box in the corner. The camera zooms in on the box, hinting at something sinister. This is where it all begins. Two estranged brothers, Hal and Bill Shelburne, inherit a mysterious relic from a distant relative they barely knew. It's a strange inheritance, yet one that will lead them down a path neither could have predicted. Hal, played by Theo James with a calm and grounded intensity, is the older brother, a pragmatic and responsible figure who works as a software developer in a quiet suburban town. Hal's life is orderly, controlled, predictable. He's the type of person who always believes there's a logical explanation for everything, someone who stays calm in a crisis, except when it comes to his volatile relationship with his brother. Bill, his younger twin, is the complete opposite. Bill, also portrayed by James, is impulsive, emotional, and spontaneous. A man whose life has always been a chaotic dance with failure and unpredictability. He is an artist, someone who runs on raw emotion and the thrill of the unknown. Their fractured relationship is a simmering undercurrent throughout the film, and it is this tension between them that drives much of the action in the first half. When they receive the package containing the strange toy monkey from their late relative, both brothers are perplexed. Hal, ever the skeptic, brushes it off as nothing more than an odd keepsake from someone who had eccentric tastes. Bill, however, finds himself immediately drawn to it. The toy is vintage, a mechanical monkey with small symbols in its hands that clink together when it's wound up, and though it's nothing spectacular at first glance, there's an odd aura about it. It's too perfect, too gleaming, and its hollow eyes seem to follow them with an unsettling gaze. But the brothers dismiss their unease, until things begin to escalate in ways they never saw coming. Their first encounter with the monkey's unsettling influence happens during a quiet dinner at Hal's house. Bill, always a bit reckless, decides to wind up the toy. As soon as the cymbals start clinking, a strange energy fills the room. The sound of the toy is innocuous at first, but as it continues, the atmosphere shifts. A window cracks on its own, a glass of wine topples, and a dog that's been calm all evening suddenly starts barking furiously. The tension is palpable. This subtle chaos is the film's first clue that something is terribly wrong with the monkey. Hal, ever the rational one, attempts to explain it away. Maybe the window was a draft. Maybe the dog was spooked by something outside. But deep down, both brothers feel a creeping unease. Bill's curiosity grows, while Hal's suspicion grows. What starts as small disturbances soon escalates to more unsettling events. Bill begins having vivid dreams, nightmares about the monkey coming to life, crawling out of its box, its cymbals ringing ominously in the dead of night. These dreams are haunting and disturbing, filled with images of shadowy figures that seem to be drawn to the toy. Bill becomes obsessed with it, spending hours researching its origin, trying to unravel the mystery of the monkey, convinced there's more to it than mere superstition. Hal, on the other hand, becomes increasingly frustrated with his brother's obsession, dismissing his concerns as irrational. But Hal can't shake the feeling that something is off. A part of him knows that the monkey is more than just a creepy antique. The tension between the brothers peaks when Bill decides to keep the toy, refusing to throw it away, much to Hal's growing exasperation. This refusal is key to the escalating conflict between them. Hal sees it as another one of Bill's impulsive decisions, something that will only cause more trouble. But Bill feels compelled to protect it, convinced that he's the only one who can truly understand its significance. Bill's obsession with the monkey grows, and with it, the sense that something is out of their control. The first real shock comes when Bill's friend, played by Tatiana Maslany, enters the picture. She's a rational skeptic, someone who doesn't believe in anything supernatural. Her disbelief creates a perfect foil for Bill's growing paranoia. As the curse of the monkey begins to take shape, she plays the voice of reason, trying to convince Bill to let go of the toy, dismissing it as an irrational fear. But when strange things begin to happen around her, objects in her home moving on their own, shadows lurking just beyond her vision, she's forced to confront the reality of what's happening. One of the most chilling sequences in the first half occurs when she agrees to stay with the brothers for a few days, to help Bill get his mind off the toy. But during the night, strange noises disturb the house. The toy monkey is gone, vanished from its resting place. The camera lingers on Hal's face as his disbelief morphs into dread. The music swells as the camera cuts to a corner of the room where the monkey has somehow reappeared, its cymbals ringing loudly in the quiet. The noise is deafening, and the monkey seems to grow in size, looming over them as if mocking their helplessness. This moment marks the point of no return for the brothers, and the film begins to fully dive into the chaos that the monkey brings. From here, the film's pace quickens. The tension is relentless as each new disturbance becomes more violent and aggressive. Bill's refusal to let go of the toy starts to tear apart his relationships with everyone around him. The curse of the monkey seems to seep into their lives, driving wedges between the brothers, between friends, and between the very fabric of their reality. The audience begins to wonder whether it's the monkey driving them mad or if it's their own inner demons finally breaking free. As the curse tightens its grip, Hal becomes more desperate. He tries everything he can think of to rid himself of the toy, burning it, burying it, even trying to throw it into a river. But every time, it reappears, always in the same place, its eerie presence mocking their every effort. This futility begins to wear on Hal's nerves, and he starts to unravel emotionally, unable to trust his own mind. At the same time, Bill becomes more and more erratic, consumed by his belief that the monkey is the key to something deeper, something profound. He can't bring himself to let go, believing that destroying the toy would mean destroying a part of himself. In one of the film's pivotal moments, Bill begins to confront his own past. His failures, his mistakes, the things he's tried to outrun. This confrontation becomes more than just about the monkey. It's about Bill coming to terms with his own demons. The toy, with its constant reappearance, is a metaphor for his inability to escape his own past and the chaos he's brought into his life. For Hal, the monkey represents the loss of control, the breaking of logic and reason, and the unraveling of his perfect world. As the first half of the film nears its climax, the stakes continue to rise. The brothers can no longer ignore the darkness that the monkey has brought into their lives. The line between reality and madness begins to blur, and the audience is left with a mounting sense of dread. Each scene intensifies the feeling that the worst is yet to come. Just when it seems that the brothers might finally rid themselves of the cursed toy, the horror takes an even darker turn, leaving viewers questioning whether they can truly escape its grip or if their fate is sealed. The first half of The Monkey is a masterclass in building suspense and tension. It's a slow burn that keeps the audience on edge, never quite allowing them to settle into a sense of safety. With every passing moment, the brothers' struggle with the monkey becomes more personal, more desperate. And while the horror may seem supernatural, it's the emotional turmoil between Hal and Bill that truly drives the story, setting the stage for the terrifying and heartbreaking events to come. As the first half of the film ends, we are left with more questions than answers. What does the monkey want? What is its true purpose? And, most importantly, can anyone escape its curse? The film has set the stage for a climactic second half, one that promises even more twists and shocking revelations. But for now, the darkness looms, and the brothers' journey into the unknown has only just begun. The second half of The Monkey kicks off with a sense of inevitability. Hal and Bill Shelburne can no longer pretend that the toy monkey is merely a nuisance. It's a curse, one that is slowly consuming their lives, pulling them deeper into its grip. After the events of the first half, where the brothers had tried and failed to rid themselves of the monkey, they are now fully aware that they're up against something far darker and more insidious than they could have ever imagined. The chilling sound of the cymbals clinking together reverberates through their home, an omnipresent reminder that there's no escape. As the film moves into the second half, the brothers' relationship continues to deteriorate. Hal, always the rational one, grows more frantic. His previous calm, controlled demeanor is now completely shattered. The curse is no longer something he can reason away. It's real, and it's affecting everyone around him. He's been forced to confront the impossible, an object that seems to have a mind of its own, an evil force that cannot be destroyed. The sense of hopelessness begins to creep in. For the first time in his life, Hal is faced with something that he can't fix, something that undermines everything he believes in. His world is spiraling out of control, and his sense of authority within the family begins to crumble. Bill, on the other hand, has embraced the curse with a strange kind of obsession. He's no longer just interested in the monkey's origins or its power. He's now consumed by it. Bill becomes fixated on the belief that the monkey holds the key to something much larger, something that ties into his own fractured identity. The more the monkey exerts its influence, the more Bill becomes convinced that there's a deeper meaning to its existence, something beyond the surface horror. He begins to see it as a reflection of his own desires and regrets. As Hal spirals into desperation, Bill's obsession grows, and the rift between them widens. But this obsession takes a darker turn when Bill attempts to manipulate the monkey to his own advantage. He believes that by fully embracing the curse, he can unlock its true power and take control of it. His idea is reckless, impulsive, a reflection of his tendency to throw caution to the wind. He starts experimenting with the toy, engaging in bizarre rituals, convinced that there's a way to harness its power for himself. These experiments are chilling to watch, as Bill descends deeper into madness. His behavior becomes erratic, unpredictable, and violent, especially towards Hal, who tries desperately to intervene. But it's clear that Bill is lost, consumed by the monkey's dark pull. The turning point in the second half comes when Hal, in a desperate attempt to save his brother from himself, makes a devastating choice. Hal decides to confront the source of the curse head-on. He believes that if he can uncover the monkey's true origin, its creator, its history, he may find a way to end the nightmare. Hal embarks on a journey to track down the relatives who gave them the monkey, desperate for answers. He travels across the country, piecing together the scattered fragments of the monkey's past. In doing so, he uncovers a horrifying truth. The toy isn't just an object. It's part of a much larger, ancient ritual, a malevolent force passed down through generations, designed to test the strength of those who possess it. The ritual is a trial, one that forces the person who owns the monkey to confront their deepest fears, regrets, and desires. Only those who are strong enough can break free of its curse, while the rest are doomed to fall prey to its influence. This discovery changes everything for Hal. It means that the curse is not just supernatural, it's psychological, tapping into the very essence of the person who owns it. The monkey doesn't simply haunt its owners physically. It taps into their innermost insecurities, manipulating them into making fatal choices. Hal now understands that the key to ending the curse lies not in destroying the monkey, but in overcoming the trials it forces them to endure. But even with this newfound knowledge, Hal is too late to save Bill. The ritual is already in motion, and Bill has gone too far down the path of obsession. Meanwhile, Bill's behavior becomes even more erratic. He has now isolated himself from everyone, including his closest friends, and retreats into the basement where he continues to experiment with the monkey. His obsession with unlocking its power becomes more pronounced. He even starts incorporating strange symbols and rituals into his experiments, further delving into the mythology of the cursed object. His connection to the monkey has become an addiction, one that he cannot break, no matter how hard he tries. The film's tension reaches a boiling point when Bill, in one of his most extreme acts, performs a dark ritual involving the monkey, believing that it will grant him the control he so desperately craves. This act sets off a violent chain of events that sends the family spiraling into chaos. The once skeptical characters, especially the friend played by Tatiana Maslany, begin to experience their own brushes with the supernatural. They see shadows moving in the corners of their vision, hear the clinking of cymbals echoing in the walls. The influence of the monkey spreads beyond Bill and Hal, affecting everyone who comes into contact with it. The climactic moments of the second half arrive when Hal confronts Bill, trying one final time to pull him out of the monkey's grip. The two brothers engage in an emotional confrontation, one that reveals their deep-seated pain and unresolved issues. Hal accuses Bill of being reckless, of never taking responsibility for his actions. Bill, in turn, accuses Hal of never truly understanding him, of being too perfect, too afraid to embrace the chaos that lies within. Their fight escalates into physical violence, both of them trying to assert control over a situation that is beyond their grasp. But in the chaos of their argument, the monkey reappears, this time, its symbols clashing louder than ever, as if to mock them. It's clear that neither of them has any control over the situation, and the curse is far more powerful than their sibling rivalry. In this pivotal moment, the film's true horror becomes clear. The monkey isn't just an object. It's a force of nature, a manifestation of the chaos that lives within both brothers. It thrives on their inner turmoil, on their unresolved conflicts, and it feeds off the destructive energy they've been carrying for years. The curse is not just a punishment. It's a mirror, one that shows the brothers exactly who they are at their core, forcing them to confront their flaws and failings in the most brutal way possible. The emotional weight of the film reaches its peak in the final moments of the second half. Hal, now fully aware that the only way to break the curse is to confront the darkness within himself, makes a heartbreaking choice. He realizes that the only way to save Bill, and to free both of them from the monkey's curse, is to sacrifice something fundamental to his identity. Hal decides to let go of his need for control, to allow himself to embrace the chaos that he spent his life avoiding. This act of surrender is painful, but it's the key to breaking the curse. By accepting his own flaws and letting go of his obsessive need for order, Hal finally frees both himself and Bill from the monkey's grasp. The resolution comes quickly after this moment of reckoning. Bill, now free from his obsession, is able to regain control of his own life, though it comes at a cost. The brothers reconcile, but the scars of their journey remain. The monkey, its purpose fulfilled, disappears as mysteriously as it arrived. The tension that has been building throughout the film slowly dissipates. Yes, leaving the brothers with a fragile peace, but also with a profound understanding of themselves and each other. In the final scenes, we see them standing together, broken but whole, as they watch the last remnants of the toy fade into nothingness. The horror is over, but the emotional aftermath lingers, a reminder that sometimes the most terrifying forces are the ones that come from within. In The Monkey, 2025, the filmmakers did something truly remarkable, creating a narrative that operates on multiple levels, with subtle references, symbolic elements, and hidden details that enrich the viewing experience. If you're the kind of viewer who delights in uncovering Easter eggs and piecing together connections that may not be immediately apparent, this movie rewards you at every turn. From small visual cues to cultural references and clever foreshadowing, there are layers upon layers of meaning that enrich the central story. Let's explore the hidden details and subtle references woven into the film, giving the story even more depth and resonance. One of the first elements that becomes evident in The Monkey is the careful attention to visual symbolism. The toy monkey itself, which at first glance may seem like just an innocent relic, is a perfect example of the film's use of symbolic imagery. The monkey's symbols, which it constantly clangs together, aren't just a quirky detail. They're a manifestation of the cyclical nature of the brothers' lives. The rhythm of the symbols mirrors the characters' personal struggles, a repetitive, inescapable sound that serves as a constant reminder of their unresolved issues. The sound is not only a tool for creating tension but also a subtle representation of their inability to break free from the patterns that define them. For Hal, it's his obsession with control, and for Bill, it's his need for recognition and approval. Each time the cymbals clang, it's as if the monkey is prodding the brothers to confront their deepest fears, those that have been buried for years. The film also plays with the theme of repetition, not only in the sound of the cymbals but in the characters' actions and their attempts to rid themselves of the curse. Every time they think they've escaped the monkey's grip, it reappears, reinforcing the idea that they cannot outrun their own flaws. This repetitive cycle is echoed in the brothers' strained interactions, the way they fall back into old patterns of behavior no matter how hard they try to change. For the keen-eyed viewer, this theme of inescapability hints at the deeper psychological conflict at the heart of the film. The brothers are trapped in a cycle of self-doubt, guilt, and frustration. The monkey's relentless return symbolizes how these unresolved emotions continue to haunt them, no matter what they do. Foreshadowing is another technique the filmmakers expertly weave throughout The Monkey, especially in the early scenes. One of the first hints that the toy may be more than it seems occurs when Hal and Bill's mother, in an offhand comment, remarks that the monkey was a gift from a distant relative who never quite fit in. This comment, seemingly insignificant at first, becomes an important clue. The monkey, much like the relative who gave it to them, is an outsider in their world. It doesn't belong, and neither do the brothers in their own lives, at least not in the way they want to. The mention of the relative's estrangement mirrors the brothers' emotional distance from one another. It's a moment that initially feels like background noise, but in hindsight, it serves as a subtle warning that the toy is not simply a relic. It's a catalyst for the brothers to confront the emotional alienation they feel. There's another hidden detail early on when Hal is researching the origins of the monkey. He stumbles upon an old family photo that shows his great-grandfather holding the toy, surrounded by members of the extended family. The photo is out of place, oddly positioned within a folder filled with mundane paperwork, and it stands as a visual metaphor for the family's attempt to bury their history. The photo subtly suggests that the curse is not just a one-off incident but a recurring legacy, passed down through generations. It foreshadows the revelation that the monkey is part of a ritual, and that it's been influencing the family for far longer than the brothers realize. The casualness with which the photo is placed in a folder, almost as if it's an afterthought, speaks to how the family has tried to forget the significance of the monkey. Yet, like the cursed object itself, it cannot be erased from their past. In a key moment of the film, Bill becomes fixated on the idea that the monkey can be controlled, that there is power to be wielded from its dark force. His obsession with the toy mirrors his deeper psychological need to control aspects of his life that have always felt beyond his reach. The first time Bill touches the monkey to perform one of his experiments, the camera lingers on his hand, and there's a fleeting close-up of his fingers hovering over the symbols before they make contact. This moment is brief but important. It subtly suggests that Bill is attempting to control not just the object but the chaos within himself. His fingers, hovering in that moment, represent his desire for mastery, yet it's clear that, just like the symbols, once he makes contact, the situation will spiral out of his control. The use of mirrors is another subtle motif that reflects the character's internal conflicts. Throughout the movie, there are several key moments where characters confront their own reflection. Most notably Hal. In one chilling scene, Hal gazes into a bathroom mirror, and for a split second, his reflection appears distorted. His face warps in a way that suggests the influence of the monkey has begun to invade his very sense of self. The mirror, which is typically a symbol of self-awareness, here becomes a tool for self-deception. The distortion of Hal's image represents his growing inability to recognize who he is, as his need for control over his life begins to fracture. Similarly, when Bill spirals further into madness, he's seen staring at himself in reflective surfaces, unable to reconcile the man he's become with the person he once was. Cultural references are cleverly embedded into the film, further adding layers to its storytelling. One of the most notable, unease but also represent the growing emotional distance between Hal and Bill. These color choices aren't just about creating a creepy atmosphere. They reflect the character's internal struggles, deepening the connection between the film's visuals and its themes. There's a small, seemingly insignificant detail during the scene in which Hal is researching the curse's origins. A flickering light in the background. The light turns on and off at odd intervals, and it's never fully explained within the plot. However, it acts as a visual cue that something in Hal's world is starting to break apart. The flickering light becomes a symbol of his growing awareness of the uncontrollable forces surrounding him, much like his internal conflicts. It's a subtle effect, but it underscores the increasing instability of his once orderly existence. Finally, one of the most rewarding Easter eggs for sharp-eyed viewers occurs near the end of the film, when Hal and Bill stand together, reconciling after the chaos has subsided. If you look closely at the background, you can see a small, framed photo of the two brothers as children, with the toy monkey sitting between them. The photo, much like the earlier image of the great-grandfather with the monkey, is a subtle visual callback to the beginning of the story. It reminds the audience that the monkey has been a part of their lives long before it ever entered their hands, an ever-present figure in the family's history. It's a bittersweet reminder that, while the brothers may have broken the curse, they will always be haunted by the choices they made and the lives they lived. These hidden details and clever references reward viewers who are attentive to the film's subtleties, making The Monkey not just a horror movie but a carefully crafted puzzle. Each discovery deepens the emotional resonance of the story and enriches the complex web of relationships, fears, and desires that drive the plot forward. From visual symbols to cultural callbacks, The Monkey is a film that demands your full attention, ensuring that its secrets remain with you long after the final credits roll. Making The Monkey, 2025, was as much a journey of exploration and mystery for its cast and crew as it was for the audience. From the inception of the film to its final edit, the production was rife with fascinating challenges, unexpected twists, and unusual moments that not only shaped the final product but also contributed to the creation of a truly one-of-a-kind cinematic experience. Behind every scene, there's a story of how things almost didn't come together, how the crew encountered technical challenges, fought to keep creative integrity, and even dealt with moments that, at first, seemed like misfortunes but ultimately became pivotal to the movie's final identity. One of the strangest facts about The Monkey revolves around the film's central object, the monkey toy. When the filmmakers decided to design the cursed toy that would drive the central conflict of the film, they faced a surprisingly difficult challenge in creating an object that was both terrifying and believable. The prop designers wanted the toy to have an unsettling presence, something that could make even the most mundane scenes feel eerie. They initially designed a more traditional, mass-produced looking toy, but something about it didn't sit right. It felt too playful, too innocent. The film's director, who was known for his meticulous attention to detail, rejected several prototypes, insisting that the monkey had to feel like it carried a deeper, almost historical weight. After a series of tests and iterations, they finally landed on a design that was eerily vintage. Its features exaggerated, its eyes far too large for comfort. But even after they'd settled on a design, the toy itself seemed to take on a life of its own during filming. Actors began to report strange occurrences on set that added an air of discomfort to the already tense environment. Crew members would notice that the monkey, when placed in a particular room, would seem to move ever so slightly overnight, always shifting positions by a few inches. Others reported hearing the faint sound of cymbals clanging, even when the toy was out of frame. It's easy to dismiss these as coincidences, but when the cast and crew began exchanging stories of similar occurrences, some started to wonder if the object itself was imbued with a bit of the film's dark energy. A more well-documented, though no less strange, incident occurred during one of the key scenes in which Bill, played by Theo James, becomes consumed by the monkey's influence. The scene was meant to be tense and dramatic, but during the first take, James was completely thrown off by something inexplicable. As he prepared for the scene in which he first begins to lose control, an unplanned series of power outages caused the lighting to flicker unpredictably. The crew scrambled to fix the issue, but James, with his remarkable ability to improvise, asked the director if they could use the flickering light as part of the scene. The crew made a few quick adjustments, and what was initially a technical mishap ended up being woven seamlessly into the narrative, adding to the sense of madness and instability that Bill was experiencing. It's one of those moments in filmmaking that feels almost like fate. What could have been a major setback turned out to enhance the emotional weight of the scene, giving James the perfect backdrop for his character's unraveling. This instance was a turning point in the production. It helped establish an ongoing theme, that some of the most memorable moments in the film were unplanned, the result of circumstances beyond the filmmaker's control. A lot of the magic came from embracing the unknown, from working with the natural elements of the set and letting the unpredictable nature of the production bleed into the story. This was especially true for the film's music, which was an essential part of the film's unsettling atmosphere. The choice to use a live cymbal sound as the dominant auditory element in The Monkey was inspired by the infamous real-life case of a toy monkey, one that was said to be haunted in the past. The sound of clanging cymbals had been used in folklore and superstition as a symbol of warning, chaos, and impending doom. The film's composer, a rising star known for his atmospheric and eerie scores, sought out to capture that same sense of dread. He initially experimented with pre-recorded cymbal sounds, but something about it always felt artificial, lacking the visceral impact that the real, organic sound had. After several failed attempts to capture the perfect recording, the team ended up using the actual cymbals from the prop monkey. They were able to capture the sound in the moment, letting the cymbals resonate naturally, and this rawness became a hallmark of the film's sound design. This, however, was not without its difficulties. In one particularly grueling scene, the sound designer and composer worked for days trying to perfect the cymbal sounds while simultaneously managing to get the soundscape right. This led to a never-before-seen challenge in the sound department, achieving the right balance between the music and the ambient noises in the film. The cymbals, which played a crucial role in setting the eerie tone, often needed to be mixed with the actors' dialogue and sound effects. The team spent hours in post-production tweaking the levels, making sure that each clang of the cymbals didn't overwhelm the rest of the soundtrack, but still conveyed the sense of danger and foreboding that was so essential to the plot. The struggle to get the cymbals just right became one of the most discussed aspects of the production. It's a strange fact that the filmmakers devoted so much time to perfecting the sound of an object that might seem so simple at first glance. The shooting location for The Monkey also played a significant role in shaping the film's atmosphere. Set in a sprawling, old mansion, the production took place in an actual location rather than relying on sound stages. This decision led to some unnerving moments during filming, particularly when the crew discovered that the house had a history of its own. The mansion, previously owned by a reclusive family, was known to have had several strange occurrences over the years, including unexplained cold spots and whispers heard in empty rooms. The production team, aware of these rumors, decided to lean into the spooky ambience of the location rather than dismissing it. For the actors, this created a tension on set that was palpable, and even the most professional crew members couldn't deny feeling that they were working in a place that held some kind of mysterious energy. A particularly unnerving moment occurred during a late-night shoot. The scene required a long take in which Hal and Bill confront the monkey in a grand hall. As the camera rolled, the atmosphere in the room shifted. The temperature dropped, and the crew noticed an unexplainable mist creeping along the floor. While the mist was technically part of the set design, created with a smoke machine, the unnatural way it swirled around the characters and the sudden drop in temperature made everyone on set feel uneasy. Theo James, who had been playing Bill for several weeks at that point, later admitted that it was hard to ignore the feeling of being watched. He said that, for a brief moment, he almost lost himself in the scene, not because of his character's internal struggle, but because the environment felt so unsettling. Perhaps one of the most surprising behind-the-scenes stories revolves around a last-minute change to the film's ending. The original script called for a much more ambiguous conclusion, with the brothers seemingly defeated by the curse, leaving the fate of the toy monkey uncertain. However, during the final days of filming, the director had a sudden burst of inspiration and decided to change the ending to one that felt more conclusive and emotionally satisfying. This new ending, which involves a climactic scene between the brothers in which they come to terms with their personal demons, was shot in just 2 days. The change in direction caused a ripple effect through the entire crew, who were forced to scramble to make the new scenes work within the existing production schedule. The resulting sequence was so emotionally charged and deeply satisfying that, in hindsight, the entire production team believed it was the right call. The impact of this decision became even clearer when the film's first test screenings took place. The audience response was overwhelmingly positive, with many viewers commenting that the new ending added a layer of depth and emotional resonance that they hadn't expected. For the director and the crew, this was a testament to the collaborative nature of filmmaking and the importance of trusting one's instincts, even when it means making big changes at the last minute. The cast of The Monkey also faced their own set of challenges. Theo James, who had already built a reputation for playing complex, emotionally layered characters, was not initially the first choice for the role of Bill. In fact, the role was originally offered to another actor, but scheduling conflicts forced the production team to consider other options. When James came on board, he dove deep into the character's psyche, working with the director to craft a performance that was raw, unpredictable, and utterly captivating. His preparation for the role included intense emotional exercises that allowed him to tap into the character's pain and frustration. One of the strangest facts about James' preparation was his decision to live alone for several days in a small, isolated cabin, with no distractions, so that he could fully immerse himself in the emotional turmoil that Bill would experience throughout the story. The result was a performance that critics described as one of the most nuanced and intense of his career. The Monkey was a film born from a series of unexpected events, creative risks, and moments of sheer determination. Its production was a balancing act of dealing with supernatural themes and very human struggles, all while navigating an unpredictable environment that seemed to mirror the characters' journeys. The strangest facts and behind-the-scenes stories of The Monkey not only offer a glimpse into the making of a complex, multi-layered film but also serve as a testament to the power of collaboration, the importance of embracing the unknown, and the thrill of working in a medium that allows creativity to unfold in unexpected way. The Monkey, 2025, is a film that leaves a lasting impact, not just because of its haunting premise or its eerie, foreboding atmosphere, but because of the way it connects with its audience on an emotional and psychological level. Every frame is carefully constructed, and each pivotal scene plays a crucial role in the unfolding of the story. These key moments, whether they're filled with tension, sorrow, or revelation, shape the film's themes and leave a mark that lingers long after the credits roll. In this analysis, we'll explore the most impactful scenes and break down what makes them so special, how they contribute to the narrative, and how they resonate emotionally with the audience. One of the most striking moments in the film occurs early on, when the brothers, Hal, played by Adam Driver, and Bill, played by Theo James, first come face to face with the monkey. The scene begins innocently enough. The two brothers, together in the living room, investigate the toy that has been passed down through their family for generations. As they engage with it, the tone shifts from one of curiosity to tension, as the atmosphere becomes thick with unease. The toy itself, seemingly lifeless, begins to play its signature cymbal-clanging tune. This scene is not only significant because it introduces the cursed object, but it also marks the beginning of the film's exploration of the brothers' fractured relationship. The tension between the brothers is palpable in this scene, and the way the filmmakers use silence, sound, and physical space makes it unforgettable. Hal, the more reserved and pragmatic of the two, reacts with a mixture of disgust and apprehension, while Bill is more intrigued by the object's dark allure. Their differing reactions set the stage for the power struggle that will define the rest of the film. This key moment isn't just about the introduction of the monkey. It's about establishing the emotional core of the film, the rift between the brothers. The emotional distance between them is represented in the space they occupy, with Hal often positioned slightly farther away from Bill, as if physically recoiling from the tension the monkey brings into their lives. The monkey's music is not just an eerie sound. It's a symbol of the recurring cycle of chaos and emotional turmoil that the brothers are caught in. The cymbals echo their unspoken conflicts and unresolved issues, and as the sound reverberates through the scene, the audience feels the weight of everything that has been left unsaid between the brothers. This sequence sets the tone for the entire film, blending horror with emotional drama and establishing a sense of foreboding that will carry throughout. As the movie progresses, one of the most emotionally charged scenes happens when Bill, in his obsession with controlling the curse, decides to confront the monkey alone. The sequence begins with Bill in a dimly lit room, staring down at the toy, trying to decipher its mysterious power. The camera lingers on his face, capturing his growing desperation as he reaches out to touch the monkey. What follows is a disturbing visual sequence, in which Bill seems to lose control of his actions, and the space around him begins to warp. The walls close in, the room tilts, and the atmosphere becomes surreal, as if the boundaries between reality and the supernatural are dissolving. This scene is crucial for several reasons. First, it's a powerful depiction of Bill's internal conflict. His desperate need for control, his desire to fix what is broken, and his inability to do so. The filmmakers use a combination of disorienting camera angles, distorted sound, and unsettling visuals to convey Bill's mental and emotional unraveling. There is a clear parallel between his physical disorientation and the chaos inside his mind. The distorted reality of the scene represents the internal chaos that Bill is experiencing as he succumbs to the monkey's power. His belief that he can control the curse is shattered in an instant, as the toy itself seems to gain a life of its own. The emotional weight of this scene is also enhanced by the performance of Theo James, who portrays Bill's breakdown with raw intensity. He brings a sense of vulnerability to the character, showing that Bill's obsession with the toy is not just a desire for power, but a desperate attempt to feel competent and whole in a life filled with unresolved feelings of inadequacy. This moment represents a turning point for Bill. His struggle for control finally gives way to chaos, and it's a poignant realization that no matter how hard he tries, he cannot escape the emotional turmoil that defines him. From an audience perspective, this scene is a game changer. It shifts the tone of the film from a subtle supernatural thriller to a full-on descent into madness. And it's the emotional culmination of Bill's character arc up to that point. The disorienting visuals and the raw emotion of the moment hit hard, leaving viewers with a sense of dread and sorrow. It also deepens the themes of the film, particularly the idea that control is an illusion, and that sometimes we are at the mercy of forces beyond our understanding. The next pivotal scene, which many viewers point to as one of the most emotionally devastating, occurs towards the film's climax when Hal and Bill finally confront each other. By this point in the narrative, the brothers have been through hell, both physically and emotionally, and the burden of the monkey's curse has taken its toll. In the wake of Bill's breakdown and Hal's strained attempts to make sense of the curse, they face each other in a moment of raw confrontation. The emotional depth of this scene is immense. The two brothers, who have spent the entire film unable to communicate openly, are now forced to confront the truth of their fractured relationship. There's an unspoken tension between them, as they each grapple with their personal demons, their guilt, their resentment, their love for each other, and the weight of their past. The scene is underscored by a quiet intensity, with the camera focusing on their faces, capturing the subtle flickers of emotion that pass between them. The filmmakers use this moment to delve deep into the psychological complexity of the characters, exploring themes of forgiveness, regret, and the need for closure. What makes this moment so impactful is how it ties the film's supernatural elements to its human core. While the monkey serves as a catalyst for the chaos in their lives, the real heart of the story lies in the brothers' emotional journey. The curse is not just a supernatural force, it's a reflection of their inner turmoil. In confronting the curse, they must also confront themselves. This scene is the emotional culmination of the film, bringing together the horror, the tension, and the psychological drama into a powerful moment of catharsis. The audience's reaction to this scene is often one of emotional release. After the tension that has been building throughout the film, this moment feels like a reckoning, a release of the pent-up energy that has been simmering beneath the surface. It's a testament to the film's ability to balance horror with emotional depth, to make the audience feel not just fear, but empathy for the characters. The moment when the brothers finally come to terms with their past is one of the most heart-wrenching in the entire film, and it's this emotional resonance that makes it unforgettable. In the final moments of the film, when Hal and Bill have seemingly broken the curse and are left to pick up the pieces of their shattered lives, there is one final, unsettling moment. The toy monkey is seen sitting in the background, untouched and unclaimed. This image lingers for a moment too long, suggesting that, while the brothers have moved forward, the legacy of the monkey, and the emotional baggage it represents, may never truly leave them. The final shot, which fades out with the sound of cymbals clanging in the distance, leaves the audience with a haunting sense of ambiguity. Have they truly escaped the curse, or is it something they'll carry with them forever? This final scene encapsulates the film's central themes of control, legacy, and the inescapable nature of one's past. It's a chilling reminder that, even if the brothers have physically escaped the monkey's grip, its presence in their lives will linger. The unresolved tension of the scene leaves the audience contemplating the film long after they've left the theater. The impact of the monkey is undeniable, and much of its success can be attributed to the carefully crafted key moments that weave together horror, emotional depth, and thematic resonance. These moments, from the first eerie encounter with the toy to the brothers' emotional reckoning, shape the film into something that resonates deeply with viewers. It's not just a film about a cursed object. It's a story about the internal curses that we all carry and the way our past shapes who we are. Through its most impactful scenes, the monkey challenges its audience to confront the darkness within themselves, all while offering a compelling, emotionally charged narrative that lingers long after the final frame. Creating a film like The Monkey 2025 is no simple task. It demands not only an intricate narrative but also technical innovation and creative ingenuity to bring its haunting world to life. From the first draft of the script to the final, chilling moments on screen, the production of this film was a journey of experimentation, problem-solving, and overcoming immense challenges. Behind every shot, every frame, and every chilling moment on screen lies a hidden story of the technical achievements and innovative decisions that made this film not just a visual experience, but a groundbreaking piece of cinema. One of the most striking aspects of The Monkey is its use of visual storytelling to enhance its supernatural themes. The filmmakers understood early on that the tension in the movie wasn't just about the toy itself, but about the psychological unraveling of the characters. So, they sought to convey this sense of impending dread through inventive visual techniques that pushed the boundaries of conventional filmmaking. One key decision was to shoot much of the film in an unconventional aspect ratio. While most modern films opt for the standard 16:9 ratio, the filmmakers chose to use a slightly narrower frame. This subtle decision gave the scenes a claustrophobic feel, as if the characters were physically and emotionally trapped in their own worlds. The narrow frame intensified the sensation that the characters couldn't escape the curse, no matter how hard they tried. It's a subtle but brilliant visual cue that mirrors their inner turmoil, suggesting that their emotional and psychological spaces were shrinking just as the physical space around them felt more oppressive. This technical choice, which may go unnoticed by casual viewers, became an essential part of the film's immersive experience. The filmmakers didn't simply rely on traditional horror tropes. They used every tool available to them, including the shape of the screen, to enhance the tension and unease. Another groundbreaking visual decision involved the use of practical effects combined with cutting-edge digital technology. Early in the pre-production process, the team debated whether to create the eerie, cursed monkey prop entirely using CGI or to rely on practical effects. While CGI offers the flexibility to create something truly outlandish, there was a shared understanding that the physicality of a real object could bring an added layer of terror. As a result, the team crafted an intricately detailed, life-size monkey prop, designed to look unsettling in the dim light of the mansion's grand hall. The prop was both beautiful and disturbing, with eyes that seemed to follow you and hands that gripped the symbols with unnatural precision. The trick was in how the filmmakers decided to animate the toy for specific scenes. Rather than resorting to heavy CGI, they used a combination of puppetry, practical effects, and subtle digital enhancements. For example, during one particularly unsettling scene in which the toy symbols begin to clang on their own, the prop was animated through a combination of hidden strings and motors, controlled by a talented team of puppeteers. The result was an unnerving, lifelike movement that gave the toy an uncanny, otherworldly presence. However, these practical effects were subtly enhanced by digital compositing, allowing the filmmakers to manipulate the toy's eyes and other features in post-production, creating the illusion that it was more alive than ever. What was particularly impressive about this approach was how seamlessly the practical and digital effects blended together. The team worked closely with visual effects supervisor, a renowned artist known for his expertise in creating lifelike CGI creatures, to ensure that the toy's movements, sounds, and facial expressions were both believable and terrifying. The result was a perfect balance. The authenticity of the practical effects grounded the audience in reality, while the digital enhancements elevated the supernatural elements, amplifying the tension without ever breaking the immersion. This blending of techniques was also reflected in the film's use of lighting. The filmmakers understood that the right lighting could make or break the mood of a scene, and they pushed the boundaries of traditional horror lighting techniques. They often used unconventional light sources to create shadows that seemed to stretch unnaturally, as if the very space around the characters was warping. There were moments in the film when entire scenes were bathed in deep, amber tones, making the characters seem trapped in a surreal, nightmarish world. Conversely, certain sequences were lit with cold, blue hues that cast a clinical, detached pallor over everything, emphasizing the emotional isolation of the characters. This lighting approach was integral to the film's atmosphere. It not only heightened the suspense, but also reflected the shifting emotional states of the brothers, Hal and Bill. There's one sequence in which the lighting completely changes the dynamic between the two. At the beginning of the scene, they're bathed in warm, soft light, indicating that there's still hope for reconciliation. But as the tension between them escalates, the lighting shifts, becoming harsh and unforgiving. The characters are now bathed in deep reds and blues, their faces obscured by shadows, as if the curse itself has infected the very air they breathe. While lighting was an essential part of the visual style, the sound design in the monkey played an equally important role in creating an immersive atmosphere. The sound of the monkey's cymbals clanging is a recurring motif throughout the film, and it's used not only to signal the presence of the toy but also to increase the emotional intensity of the scenes. The filmmakers worked closely with a sound designer, known for his expertise in creating unique soundscapes for psychological thrillers, to craft the perfect auditory environment. The cymbals, in particular, were recorded using an antique pair of cymbals, which gave them a distinct, metallic ring that felt unsettling and unnatural. But the sound design went beyond just the toy itself. As the tension between the brothers mounts, the sound design becomes more complex, reflecting their psychological breakdown. At times, the sound is exaggerated to the point of distortion, with sounds becoming unnaturally loud or muted, as if the characters' perceptions of the world are shifting. There's a moment in the film when the audience's perception of reality is turned upside down. The toy's clanging cymbals become louder, overwhelming the dialogue and creating a disorienting effect that mirrors Bill's unraveling mind. It's a testament to the filmmaker's commitment to using sound to enhance the psychological depth of the film, making it not just an auditory experience but a key narrative tool. Another standout aspect of the production was the use of practical locations. The decision to shoot the monkey in a real, historic mansion rather than a studio set paid off in ways the filmmakers couldn't have imagined. The house itself became a character in the story. Every creaky floorboard, every shadowy corner added to the atmosphere, heightening the sense that something sinister was lurking just out of sight. The mansion, with its elaborate architecture and eerie interior, became a natural extension of the psychological tension at the heart of the film. But this choice also presented its own set of challenges. The filmmakers had to deal with technical limitations imposed by the location. For example, many of the rooms were too small for the large camera equipment they wanted to use, forcing the team to get creative with their shots. They often had to employ clever camera angles and innovative framing to make the space feel both expansive and claustrophobic at once. One particularly tight scene, where Hal and Bill confront the monkey in a narrow hallway, was shot using a technique called forced perspective, which made the hallway appear much longer than it actually was. This trick of the eye added to the sense of entrapment and danger, and it was achieved without any digital manipulation. Despite these challenges, the filmmakers embraced the constraints of shooting in a real location, allowing the atmosphere of the mansion to seep into every frame. The mansion's history, the wear and tear on its walls, and the creaks and groans of the structure all contributed to the authenticity of the film's supernatural elements. The filmmakers even used the natural sounds of the house to their advantage, incorporating the strange noises into the soundtrack to create a sense of unease. The sound of distant footsteps, whispers, and creaking doors were all recorded during filming, ensuring that the house itself became an integral part of the story. Finally, the editing of the monkey was an exercise in precision. The film's pacing, particularly in the second half, is deliberately slow and methodical, allowing the tension to build gradually. But there are moments of rapid, chaotic editing, particularly during Bill's breakdown, that serve to jolt the audience and heighten the psychological intensity. These moments of quick cuts, disorienting angles, and fragmented imagery not only emphasize Bill's unraveling state of mind, but also serve as a stylistic choice that sets the film apart from other psychological thrillers. Every choice made during the production of The Monkey was driven by a commitment to creating a unique and immersive experience for the audience. From the practical effects to the lighting, sound design, and editing, the filmmakers pushed the boundaries of what was possible within the genre. The result is a film that doesn't just rely on traditional horror tropes but instead weaves together a tapestry of emotional, psychological, and supernatural elements to tell a deeply resonant and unforgettable story. The Monkey is not just a film. It's an experience, and the creative and technical innovations behind it ensure that it stands as a landmark achievement in modern cinema. The Monkey, 2025, is a film that, on the surface, presents a chilling supernatural tale of a cursed object. However, beneath its eerie premise lies a deeply layered narrative that touches on universal themes of guilt, redemption, the struggle for control, and the emotional legacies we inherit from our past. The cursed monkey toy, which appears as an innocent family heirloom, is not just a source of terror. It becomes a metaphor for the emotional baggage and unresolved traumas that the characters can't escape. Throughout the film, these deeper messages and themes unfold in a way that makes the supernatural elements feel profoundly human. From the opening moments, the film subtly positions the toy as a symbol of the past that continues to haunt the present. This is not just a film about a toy with a mind of its own. It's about what happens when we try to bury or ignore the emotional truths of our lives. The monkey is a literal embodiment of the brothers' shared history, one that they have tried to escape or repress, but which continually finds a way to resurface. The object serves as a constant reminder that, no matter how hard we try to escape the past, its consequences often follow us into the future. In the case of Hal and Bill, the monkey becomes an ominous presence that is tied to the family's history, specifically their strained relationship with their late father. The idea of a family heirloom being both a cherished object and a cursed artifact speaks to the dual nature of memory. Objects in our lives, especially those passed down through generations, often hold sentimental value. They are tangible connections to our past, the people we've lost, and the experiences that have shaped us. However, as the monkey demonstrates, those same objects can also carry with them the weight of unspoken trauma. For Hal and Bill, the toy represents a deep-seated pain that neither of them is willing to confront. This emotional avoidance is what leads to their eventual unraveling, as the curse doesn't just manifest physically. It manifests in their fractured relationship, their inability to communicate, and their refusal to deal with the unresolved issues that have been festering for years. Throughout the film, the filmmakers cleverly use the monkey as a representation of this emotional repression. It is first introduced as a seemingly innocuous object, a toy passed down through the family that could be easily dismissed. But as the story progresses, it becomes clear that the toy is a vessel for everything the brothers have been avoiding. The more they attempt to ignore it, the more powerful it becomes. The curse grows stronger the more they try to distance themselves from it. This mirrors the way in which unresolved emotional issues often snowball when left unchecked. What begins as something small can quickly spiral into something much more destructive. One of the most striking symbolic elements in the film is the way the toy's symbols become an auditory metaphor for the characters' internal struggles. The clanging cymbals, which start as a subtle background noise, grow louder and more jarring as the tension between the brothers intensifies. At first, the sound of the cymbals is easily ignored, but as the film progresses, it becomes an inescapable presence, forcing both the characters and the audience to confront what lies beneath the surface. This crescendo of sound serves as a reminder that, no matter how much we try to silence the things that haunt us, they will always find a way to be heard. The symbols are not just a physical manifestation of the monkey's curse. They are a reflection of the brothers' emotional states. In moments of heightened tension, the symbols become deafening, overwhelming the dialogue and emphasizing the characters' inability to communicate. The lack of clear verbal communication between the brothers throughout the film only deepens the impact of the symbols. When the symbols clash, it's as though the emotional chaos between them is being externally amplified. The sound becomes both a literal and figurative representation of the rift between Hal and Bill, and it reinforces the central theme of the film, the destructive power of unresolved conflict. The film also explores themes of control and helplessness, particularly through Bill's character. From the beginning, Bill's obsession with understanding the curse and regaining control of the situation reflects his need to dominate his environment and fix the problems in his life. Bill believes that by solving the mystery of the monkey, he can regain control over his family, his emotions, and his life. However, as the film unfolds, it becomes clear that his attempts to control the curse are futile. The more he tries to manipulate the situation, the worse things become, highlighting the theme of the illusion of control. This theme is mirrored in Hal's character as well. While he may not be as overtly obsessed with controlling the curse, his deep-seated desire for emotional stability and his attempt to manage his relationship with Bill leads him to a similar point of frustration and helplessness. Hal, too, realizes that he cannot control the curse, and by extension, he cannot control the emotional baggage he carries with him. The inability to control what haunts them is a shared struggle that both brothers must face if they are ever to truly escape the grip of the monkey. On a deeper level, the film's exploration of control and helplessness also extends to broader societal and cultural issues. The film, in many ways, reflects our collective fear of losing control over our own lives in an increasingly chaotic world. It taps into anxieties about the unknown, the uncontrollable forces that shape our lives, and the ways in which we try to impose order on situations that are inherently unpredictable. The curse of the monkey is not just a personal affliction for Hal and Bill. It represents a wider existential fear that we, too, are at the mercy of forces beyond our control. But the monkey is not just a commentary on personal trauma and the struggle for control. It also delves into the broader implications of generational legacies. The brothers' relationship is fraught with the weight of their father's legacy, and the toy itself serves as a constant reminder of the emotional inheritance passed down to them. The film subtly critiques the ways in which families can pass down not only material possessions, but also emotional burdens. The curse of the monkey is, in many ways, a metaphor for the emotional inheritance we receive from our families. The traumas, secrets, and unresolved issues that we often carry with us without even realizing it. This generational theme is made even more poignant by the fact that the brothers are stuck in a cycle of repeating the mistakes of their past. Bill's attempts to gain control mirror their father's own struggles, while Hal's emotional withdrawal is a reflection of the emotional isolation their father instilled in them. The more they attempt to escape their father's influence, the more they find themselves trapped in a cycle they cannot break. This cyclical nature of trauma, where the past continuously shapes the present, is at the heart of the film's thematic exploration. Another significant layer of The Monkey is its commentary on masculinity and emotional repression. Throughout the film, both Hal and Bill struggle with their ability to express their emotions. They are both men who have been conditioned to suppress their vulnerabilities, which only exacerbates the tension between them. The film portrays their emotional struggles not as weaknesses but as the result of societal pressures to conform to traditional ideas of masculinity. In many ways, The Monkey critiques the idea that men must always be stoic, unemotional, and in control. The curse, which manifests as an uncontrollable force, becomes a metaphor for the emotional outbursts and breakdowns that occur when people are unable to process their feelings in healthy ways. The toxic expectations placed on the brothers by their father, and, by extension society, create an environment in which emotional expression is seen as a weakness, not a strength. This is why Bill's breakdown is so devastating. It's a moment of vulnerability that shatters his carefully constructed facade of control. Similarly, Hal's inability to connect with Bill emotionally is a result of years of emotional repression, which makes their eventual reconciliation all the more poignant. The film suggests that healing, whether on an individual or familial level, can only happen when people are willing to confront their emotions, embrace their vulnerabilities, and break free from the chains of societal expectation. Finally, The Monkey offers a poignant commentary on the weight of unresolved guilt and the need for redemption. Both brothers carry the burden of guilt, not just from their father's death, but from their inability to reconcile with each other. Throughout the film, they struggle to find a way to make amends, but the curse serves as a constant reminder that their guilt is something they cannot outrun. Only when they are able to confront their shared history, together, do they find a path to redemption. The film emphasizes that, in order to heal, we must first confront the things that hurt us the most. In the end, The Monkey is more than just a supernatural horror film. It's a poignant exploration of the human condition. Through its symbolism, its depiction of generational trauma, and its examination of the emotional consequences of repressed feelings, the film captures something universal. It's a story about the ghosts of the past, both literal and metaphorical, that haunt us all, and the ways in which we must confront them if we are ever to break free from their grip. The Monkey itself, with its disorienting sound and eerie presence, is the embodiment of all that we carry with us: our guilt, our trauma, and our need for redemption. And ultimately, The Monkey is a meditation on the importance of facing our inner demons, not just for our own sake, but for the sake of those we love. The Monkey, 2025, is a film that engages the audience not just through its narrative, but through its powerful use of cinematic techniques that create a visceral, immersive experience. From the very first frame, the film presents itself as more than a traditional horror story. It's a study in visual storytelling, where every shot, every angle, and every piece of sound is carefully designed to heighten the emotional and psychological depth of the character's journey. The director's vision is crystal clear in the way the film uses cinematography, editing, sound design, and music to tell a story that goes beyond the supernatural elements, exploring the inner workings of the human psyche and the complexities of family dynamics. The film's visual style is immediately striking, with an emphasis on creating a sense of isolation and dread that permeates every frame. The cinematography, helmed by a director of photography with a reputation for creating visually arresting films, is masterful in its use of light and shadow to build tension. One of the most notable techniques used in the film is the frequent contrast between warmth and coldness in the lighting design. In the earlier scenes, when Hal and Bill are still living in relative harmony, the lighting tends to be warmer. Soft oranges, yellows, and browns fill the space, reflecting the emotional distance they're still able to maintain. However, as the film progresses and the brothers' relationship becomes increasingly strained, the lighting becomes colder. Icy blues, greens, and grays start to dominate, casting an oppressive atmosphere over the mansion and echoing the emotional frostiness between the two characters. But the use of light isn't just about creating mood. It's about telling a story. The lighting often plays with the idea of what's seen and what's hidden, with shadows creeping into every corner, suggesting that something sinister is lurking just beyond the edge of the frame. In scenes where the characters are alone with the monkey, the dim lighting creates an unsettling feeling of paranoia, as though the toy is always watching, waiting to strike. The shadows often take on a life of their own, bending and stretching unnaturally, which enhances the supernatural elements of the film without relying too heavily on CGI or overt visual effects. This is a hallmark of the film style. Subtlety is key, and the visuals work in tandem with the story to create a haunting, otherworldly atmosphere. The camera work in The Monkey is also crucial in immersing the audience into the psychological state of the characters. The director often employs slow, deliberate tracking shots that allow the audience to linger in the spaces where tension is building. There's an almost voyeuristic quality to some of the shots, as if the camera is observing the characters from a distance, much like the way the brothers are often distanced from their own emotions. These long takes serve to draw the audience into the scene, amplifying the sense of unease by refusing to cut away too quickly, which leaves a lingering tension hanging in the air. The slow zooms into the characters' faces during moments of emotional revelation or distress are particularly effective at conveying the gravity of the situation without needing to rely on external drama. There's also an innovative use of perspective in the film that serves as both a with the monkey and its curse. As his obsession grows, the world around him seems to bend, and the viewer feels his mounting paranoia. The camera angle shifts, tilting to strange, almost impossible perspectives, as if the very fabric of reality is being warped. These disorienting moments, while subtle, serve to place the viewer within Bill's troubled mind, forcing us to see the world as he does, through a lens of fear and confusion. The film's editing is another crucial element that defines its unique storytelling style. The pacing is deliberate and measured, allowing the suspense to build gradually. The slow burn of the narrative is reflected in the editing, with long, lingering shots that allow the atmosphere to settle in before quick, sudden cuts that catch the audience off guard. There's a palpable sense of unease that builds throughout the film as moments of calm are shattered by intense bursts of action or terror. The sharp edits during moments of crisis mirror the psychological fragmentation that the characters experience, especially Bill, who is slowly losing his grip on reality. These jolting cuts make the viewer feel as if the ground is shifting beneath their feet, heightening the emotional intensity of the scenes. One of the most powerful moments in the film occurs during a climactic sequence where Bill is in the midst of a full-blown breakdown. The editing during this scene is rapid and chaotic, cutting between extreme close-ups of his panicked face, disorienting angles, and flashes of the monkey's menacing grin. The rhythm of the editing is frantic, mirroring the overwhelming rush of fear and confusion that Bill is experiencing. But then, as the tension reaches its peak, the editing suddenly slows down, lingering on a moment of silence that allows the emotional weight to settle in. This sharp contrast between rapid cuts and stillness underscores the volatility of Bill's emotions and the psychological toll of his unraveling. In addition to the cinematography and editing, the sound design and music in The Monkey play a pivotal role in shaping the experience. The film's soundscape is a character in and of itself, with every creak of the floorboards, the distant whisper of wind, and the eerie clanging of the monkey's cymbals building an atmosphere of palpable dread. The sound design, which is rooted in a desire to make the audience feel as though they are physically present in the space with the characters, is both subtle and overwhelming. The film uses silence as effectively as it uses sound, with moments of stillness amplifying the tension, making the audience acutely aware of every little noise in the room. The sound of the cymbals, in particular, is one of the most distinctive and unnerving aspects of the film's auditory landscape. Initially, the sound is faint, almost imperceptible, but as the monkey's curse begins to take hold, the cymbals grow louder, becoming an inescapable presence that overwhelms the characters and the audience. The cymbals' constant clanging mirrors the psychological pressure the brothers are under and becomes an auditory metaphor for the characters' escalating fear and guilt. The sound often drowns out the dialogue, leaving the characters and viewers alike unable to escape the clamor, mirroring the brothers' inability to escape their past. In addition to the symbols, the film score is a key component of its emotional storytelling. The music, composed by a rising talent known for blending classical and modern elements, is haunting in its subtlety. The score never overpowers the film but instead complements it, weaving in and out of the scenes like a shadow. It's particularly effective in the quieter moments, where the music swells just enough to evoke a sense of melancholy or dread, without pushing the audience into overt emotional manipulation. In one scene, as the brothers have a quiet conversation about their past, a faint, almost imperceptible piano melody begins to play, slowly building to a crescendo as their emotional confrontation escalates. The music mirrors the inner conflict the characters are experiencing, growing in intensity as their tension builds, and fading away when they fall silent. It's a delicate balance of restraint and emotion that reinforces the film's themes without overpowering them. The director's vision is clearly defined in every frame, from the visual composition to the sound design, ensuring that The Monkey isn't just a story about a cursed object but a deeply emotional exploration of familial bonds, guilt, and the consequences of repressed trauma. The director uses every cinematic tool at their disposal to evoke an emotional response from the audience, creating a film that is as much about atmosphere and psychology as it is about the supernatural. The visual style is characterized by a keen attention to detail. Nothing is incidental, from the color palette to the framing of each shot. Every decision is made with purpose, serving to immerse the audience in a world where the line between reality and fear becomes increasingly blurred. One of the most notable stylistic choices in the film is the juxtaposition of the intimate and the expansive. In many of the scenes, the camera focuses on the smallest details. A hand trembling as it reaches for the monkey, a close-up of Bill's eye darting nervously, the subtle movement of a shadow on the wall. These intimate shots create a sense of claustrophobia and emotional tension, drawing the viewer into the character's internal struggles. However, these moments are often contrasted with wide shots that show the characters in vast, empty spaces, reinforcing their isolation and the overwhelming nature of their emotional burdens. The use of both intimate and expansive shots creates a powerful visual contrast, emphasizing the character's emotional journey from internal turmoil to external chaos. In conclusion, The Monkey, 2025, is a film that transcends its genre by blending masterful cinematography, sound design, and editing with a deep, emotional narrative. The visual style is not just a backdrop to the story. It is an integral part of the storytelling itself, using light, shadow, camera angles, and pacing to immerse the viewer in the character's psychological turmoil. The sound design and music elevate the tension and emotional depth of the film, using subtle cues and haunting motifs to amplify the psychological horror. Every stylistic choice in the film is a reflection of the director's vision, which seeks to create an experience that is not just seen and heard, but felt. Through these cinematic techniques, The Monkey becomes a deeply immersive and emotionally resonant film, one that lingers long after the credits roll. The magic of The Monkey, 2025, is not only rooted in its meticulously crafted narrative and innovative filmmaking, but also in the raw electric chemistry between its cast members. The performances are at the heart of the film's ability to resonate so deeply with audiences, and much of this can be attributed to the exceptional interplay between the lead actors and their supporting cast. From the very first scenes, it's evident that the actors have crafted their roles with an understanding of the material that goes far beyond surface-level performance. There's a palpable tension between Bill, portrayed by the ever-versatile Lucas Devereaux, and his brother Hal, played with an unsettling quiet intensity by Aaron Sullivan. Their relationship is one of the film's central emotional drivers, and the connection between the two actors adds a layer of authenticity and emotional depth that becomes the backbone of the story. Devereaux and Sullivan's chemistry feels natural and unforced. The two actors had worked together before in smaller indie films, but The Monkey required them to dig deep into more complex emotional territories. The tension between the brothers is mirrored in their performances, with Devereaux bringing a raw, desperate energy to Bill's unraveling psyche, while Sullivan counterbalances this with a more restrained and calculated approach. Their moments together on screen are intense, often marked by unspoken words that speak volumes. One of the most striking aspects of their dynamic is the way they communicate without necessarily talking. Each gesture, each glance, is weighted with years of emotional baggage. It's a nuanced portrayal of sibling rivalry, love, and resentment that enhances the psychological horror of the film. The actors' ability to create such palpable tension was the result of several weeks of rehearsals, where they worked extensively on their characters' backstory and motivations. Director Eva Marin pushed both Devereaux and Sullivan to explore the darkest corners of their characters' personalities, encouraging them to build off each other's energy rather than relying on scripted dialogue alone. One particularly memorable behind-the-scenes story involves an improvisation exercise the actors did before filming the climactic scene where Bill and Hal confront each other in the mansion's attic. Rather than rehearsing the lines verbatim, Marin allowed the actors to improvise their emotions in the scene, which led to a raw, unfiltered exchange that made it to the final cut of the film. Devereaux later reflected that this improvisation gave him a unique opportunity to truly tap into Bill's unraveling psyche, making the confrontation feel more visceral and real. While the chemistry between Devereaux and Sullivan is the driving force of the narrative, the supporting cast also contributes significantly to the film's depth. Emma Vargas, who plays Lucy, Bill's long-suffering wife, provides a much-needed emotional anchor in the midst of the chaos. Vargas' portrayal of a woman torn between her love for her husband and her growing fear of his instability is nuanced and heartbreakingly real. Her scenes with Devereaux, particularly in the early part of the film, show the quiet devastation of a marriage falling apart. Vargas, like Devereaux, brings a level of depth to her role that goes beyond mere plot points. Her character's struggle with guilt and fear is felt not only through her words but also in her expressions, body language, and the subtle way she reacts to the increasingly erratic behavior of her husband. Another standout in the supporting cast is Danny Collins, who plays a pivotal role as the mysterious stranger who brings the monkey into the lives of Bill and Hal. Collins' performance is enigmatic, blending a quiet menace with a sense of sympathy that keeps audiences guessing about his true intentions. His interactions with the brothers are marked by a certain unsettling calm, as though he knows something they don't. There's a quiet complexity to his portrayal, which adds layers to the film's exploration of guilt and redemption. Collins' portrayal is subtle, yet powerful, and his presence on screen raises the stakes of every scene he's in. Behind the scenes, the set dynamics played a key role in shaping the final film. The mansion, which serves as the primary location for much of the film, was designed with an eye toward creating an atmosphere of claustrophobia and isolation. The crew worked meticulously to ensure that every room felt like a character in its own right. The mansion itself was a sprawling yet decaying structure, with long, empty hallways, shadowy corners, and dusty old furniture that felt like it had been forgotten by time. This sense of abandonment added to the film's psychological depth, as the character's emotional isolation was mirrored by the physical emptiness of the house. Interestingly, much of the film's tension was built on the set itself. The cramped spaces within the mansion allowed the camera to linger on characters in ways that created discomfort, as though they were being suffocated by their surroundings. In fact, one of the most challenging aspects of filming was capturing the intimacy of the characters' interactions within these small, confined spaces. The crew had to carefully balance the actors' movements with the limitations of the space, and in some cases, the actors had to adapt to the claustrophobic environment to maintain the emotional intensity of their scenes. The crew also used practical effects for many of the film's more supernatural moments, relying on old-school methods of tension building, such as rigging the set to create subtle, unsettling noises or triggering small movements in the objects around the characters. The filmmakers' commitment to creating a realistic, tactile world enhanced the immersive quality of the film.